The amber glow of streetlights filtered through the rain-streaked windows of Café Luna, casting shifting shadows across empty tables and abandoned coffee cups. Marcus sat alone in the corner booth, his fingers drumming against the worn wooden surface as he checked his phone for the 7th time in 10 minutes. The blind date was supposed to start 20 minutes ago. His sister had insisted, practically forcing the setup after months of his polite deflections. "You need this," she'd said with that knowing look that older sisters perfected. "Emma needs to see you happy," but happiness felt like a foreign concept these days, something that belonged to other people, people who hadn't lost everything in a single phone call 3 years ago. The cafe door chimed, and Marcus looked up hopefully, but it was just another couple seeking shelter from the October storm. He was about to leave when tiny fingers tugged at his jacket sleeve. "Daddy? Where is she?" Emma's voice was soft, curious, her wide brown eyes reflecting the cafe's warm lighting. At 6 years old, she possessed an uncanny ability to read people's emotions, a skill that both amazed and worried him. "I don't think she's coming, sweetheart," Marcus said gently, helping her out of her rain jacket. The babysitter had canceled last minute, leaving him no choice but to bring Emma along. He texted his date about the change but received no response. "Maybe we should go home." Emma tilted her head, studying the empty seat across from them. "But you look sad when we're home." The observation hit him like a physical blow. Had he been that transparent? He thought he was doing better, putting on a brave face for his daughter's sake. "I'm not sad, Em. Just tired." Mommy used to say tired and sad look the same sometimes. Marcus's throat tightened. Emma rarely mentioned her mother anymore, the memories fading like old photographs. Sarah had died when Emma was 3. A sudden aneurysm that left no time for goodbyes, no chance to prepare. The grief had nearly destroyed him, but Emma's need for stability had pulled him back from the edge. "Your mommy was very smart," he managed. The door chimed again, and this time a woman entered, shaking droplets from her umbrella. She was younger than he'd expected, maybe late 20s, with auburn hair that caught the light like burnished copper. Her coat was well worn but clean, and she moved with the careful grace of someone accustomed to being noticed for the wrong reasons. She scanned the cafe uncertainly, her gaze settling on Marcus with a questioning look. "Are you Marcus?" she asked, approaching their table. "I'm sorry I'm late. My car wouldn't start, and the bus was running behind because of the weather." Before he could respond, Emma popped up from her seat. "Are you Daddy's friend?" she asked, with the direct curiosity that made Marcus simultaneously proud and mortified. The woman smiled, the expression transforming her face completely. "I might be. I'm Claire, and you must be the famous Emma your daddy told me about." "He told you about me?" Emma's eyes widened with delight. Marcus felt heat creep up his neck. He'd mentioned Emma in his texts, but only briefly, not wanting to scare away a potential date with the reality of instant parenthood. Most women his age weren't looking for a ready-made family. Of course he did. "You're the most important person in his world." Claire slid into the booth across from them, and Marcus noticed she positioned herself so she was facing Emma directly. "I hope you don't mind that I brought her," Marcus said. Babysitter canceled. "I don't mind at all," Claire's voice carried genuine warmth. "Though I should warn you, I'm not exactly great with kids. I don't have any of my own." "That's okay," Emma said seriously. "Daddy wasn't great with kids either until he had me." Claire laughed, a rich sound that seemed to brighten the entire cafe. "Is that so?" "He used to burn mac and cheese," Emma confided in a stage whisper. "Now he only burns it sometimes." "Well, that's improvement," Claire said, winking at Marcus. The interaction was so natural, so unexpectedly comfortable, that Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. He'd been dreading this evening, going through the motions to appease his sister. But watching Claire engage with Emma without the forced enthusiasm or obvious discomfort he'd encountered with other women made him reconsider his assumptions. They ordered coffee and hot chocolate for Emma, who immediately launched into an elaborate story about her art project at school. Claire listened with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions and making appropriate gasps of amazement at all the right moments. Marcus found himself relaxing, actually enjoying the conversation instead of counting minutes until he could politely escape. "So what do you do?" he asked when Emma paused to attack her whipped cream with a spoon. "I'm a librarian," Claire said. "Children's section, actually. I love stories. Always have. There's something magical about the right book finding the right person at the right time. Do you have magic books? Emma asked, chocolate mustache decorating her upper lip. All books are magic if you read them with the right eyes, Claire replied seriously. They can take you anywhere, let you be anyone, show you things you never imagined. Emma nodded solemnly, clearly filing this information away for future reference. Marcus watched the exchange with growing fascination. Claire spoke to Emma like an equal, not talking down or using the sing-song voice adults often adopted with children. What about you? Claire asked, turning to Marcus. What's your story? I'm an architect, he said. Commercial buildings mostly. Nothing too exciting. Daddy builds places where people work, Emma chimed in. He says buildings are like people. They need good bones and warm hearts. Marcus stared at his daughter, surprised. He'd said something like that once, months ago, not realizing she'd been listening. That's beautiful, Claire said, looking at him with new interest. Do you design with people in mind? Or just function? Both, I hope. A building should serve its purpose, but it should also make people feel something. Comfort, inspiration, peace. Architecture shapes how we move through the world. Like books, Claire mused. The best ones don't just tell a story, they change how you see everything else. Their conversation flowed naturally after that, touching on everything from favorite movies to childhood memories to their shared love of thunderstorms. Emma occasionally interjected with observations that were startlingly insightful for someone her age, and Claire included her seamlessly in the adult conversation without patronizing her. When Emma excused herself to use the bathroom, Marcus watched her skip away with a lightness he hadn't seen in months. She's incredible, Claire said softly. You're doing an amazing job with her. Some days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water, Marcus admitted. It's hard doing it alone. I can't imagine. But she's happy, Marcus. Really happy. Kids can't fake that kind of joy. Before he could respond, Emma returned with a serious expression. Claire, she said, sliding back into the booth. Are you going to be Daddy's girlfriend? Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. Emma, that's not how it works. People need time to get to know each other. But she's nice, Emma said with the logic of a 6-year-old. And she makes you smile. You don't smile very much anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus felt exposed, vulnerable, in a way he hadn't been since Sarah's death. He'd thought he was hiding his grief better, protecting Emma from the depths of his loneliness. Your daddy smiles plenty, Claire said gently. He just saves the best ones for special occasions. Is this special? Emma asked. Claire looked at Marcus, something unreadable in her expression. I think it might be. Later, as they walked to their cars through the drizzling rain, Emma skipped ahead, splashing in puddles with abandon. Marcus and Claire followed more slowly, their conversation punctuated by comfortable silences. Thank you, Marcus said, for being so patient with her. I know this wasn't what you signed up for. Actually, it was better, Claire replied. Emma's wonderful, and she obviously adores you. Sometimes I worry I'm not enough for her, that she needs more than one broken parent trying to figure it out as he goes. Claire stopped walking, turning to face him under the glow of a streetlight. Rain misted around them like fairy dust, and for a moment the world seemed suspended in amber light and possibility. You're not broken, Marcus. You're healing. There's a difference. Her words hit him with unexpected force. He'd been carrying the weight of inadequacy for so long that the possibility of being enough, of being worthy of love again, felt revolutionary. I'd like to see you again, she said. Both of you, I mean, if you're interested. I'd like that too. They exchanged numbers, fingers brushing as Claire handed back his phone. The touch was electric, sending warmth, shooting up his arm. Can Claire come to my soccer game Saturday? Emma called from a nearby puddle. We'll see, sweetheart, Marcus replied, but he was already hoping the answer would be yes. As he watched Claire drive away, taillights disappearing into the night, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in 3 years. Hope. Not the desperate, clawing hope of early grief, but something steadier, warmer, something that felt like possibility. Emma slipped her hand into his as they walked to their car. I like her, Daddy. I like her too, Em. Are you going to marry her? We just met tonight, Marcus laughed. Marriage is a very big decision that takes time and thought but But you have the same smile, Emma interrupted, with the certainty that only children possessed. The one Mommy used to give you. Marcus's breath caught. In all his efforts to move forward, to honor Sarah's memory while building a new life, he'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen completely. To have someone look at him and smile not out of politeness or pity, but from genuine joy. Maybe someday, sweetheart. If we're very lucky. As they drove home through the rain-slicked streets, Emma chattering about soccer games and library books and whether Claire liked pizza, Marcus allowed himself to imagine a future that included more than just survival. A future that included laughter and shared dinners and someone to hold during thunderstorms. A future where being a single father didn't mean being alone. The next morning brought crisp autumn air and golden sunlight streaming through kitchen windows. Marcus was attempting to make pancakes, Emma perched on a stool beside him, offering helpful commentary on his technique. "They're supposed to be round, Daddy. I'm working on it." "Maybe Claire knows how to make better pancakes." "Maybe she does." His phone buzzed with a text message. Claire's name on the screen made his pulse quicken slightly. "Good morning. I had a wonderful time last night. Emma left her coloring book in my car. Would you like me to drop it by? Or should we meet somewhere?" She texted me, Marcus told Emma, who immediately abandoned her orange juice. "What did she say? Can she come over? Is she coming to my game? She has your coloring book. She wants to return it." "She should come here," Emma declared. "We can show her my room and my art stuff, and maybe she wants to see the treehouse you built." Marcus hesitated. Inviting Claire to their home felt significant, a crossing of boundaries that went beyond casual dating. Their house was their sanctuary, the place where Emma's drawings covered the refrigerator and Sarah's books still lined the shelves. It was where grief lived alongside hope, where memories of their past mingled with dreams of their future. "Please, Daddy, she was nice to me, and I want to show her my butterfly collection." Looking into Emma's eager face, Marcus realized his daughter needed this too, not just a father's happiness, but the possibility of expanding their small family circle. Emma had been the center of his world for so long that he'd forgotten children also needed to see their parents as whole people, capable of love and joy beyond parenting. "Okay," he said, typing a response, "but we need to clean up first." The next hour was a whirlwind of activity. Emma raced through the house, tidying with the enthusiasm of someone expecting royalty. Marcus found himself straightening pillows and hiding dirty dishes, nervous in a way that reminded him of teenage dating. When the doorbell rang, Emma practically flew to answer it, with Marcus close behind to ensure their guest didn't get tackled by an overexcited 6-year-old. Claire stood on their front porch holding a small pink coloring book and a brown paper bag. She'd traded yesterday's work clothes for jeans and a soft green sweater that brought out the gold flecks in her eyes. "I brought donuts," she said, holding up the bag. "I figured if I was going to intrude on your Saturday morning, I should come bearing gifts." "You're not intruding," Marcus said, stepping aside to let her in. "Emma's been talking about you since we got home last night." "Really?" Claire knelt down to Emma's level. "What did you tell your daddy about me?" "That you're pretty and nice and you know about magic books," Emma said solemnly. "And that you make Daddy happy." Claire's cheeks pinkened slightly. "Well, he makes me happy too." The house tour that followed was thorough and enthusiastic. Emma showed Claire her bedroom, complete with fairy lights and a reading nook Marcus had built in the window seat. She displayed her butterfly collection with the pride of a museum curator, explaining the difference between monarchs and painted ladies with scientific precision that impressed their guest. In the living room, Claire paused at the bookshelf, running her fingers along familiar spines. "You have excellent taste in literature," she said to Marcus. "Some of these are mine," Emma piped up. "Daddy reads to me every night. Even the ones that are too hard for me to read by myself." "What's your favorite right now?" Claire asked. "The one about the girl who saves her brother from the Fairy King. It's scary, but good." "I know that one. It's one of my favorites, too." They ended up on the back deck, sharing donuts and watching Emma demonstrate her tree house climbing skills. The structure Marcus had built the previous summer was elaborate, complete with rope ladders and a pulley system for hauling up supplies. "This is incredible," Claire said, watching Emma disappear into the wooden fort. "You built this yourself?" Guilty as charged. Emma wanted a place where she could see the whole neighborhood. "I got a little carried away with the engineering." A little? Claire laughed. This looks like it could survive a hurricane. The building inspector in me couldn't help it. If I'm going to build something, it needs to be safe. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Emma arrange her stuffed animals in the treehouse for what appeared to be an important meeting. The morning sun was warm on their faces, and Marcus found himself studying Claire's profile, the way she smiled while watching his daughter play. "Can I ask you something?" Claire said after a while. "Of course." Yesterday, when Emma mentioned her mother, that must be difficult, navigating those conversations. Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest, but it was gentler now, tinged with acceptance rather than raw pain. Some days are harder than others. Emma was so young when Sarah died that most of her memories are stories I've told her. I want her to know her mother, but I also don't want her to feel trapped by grief. You're doing an incredible job. Emma talks about her mother with love, not sadness. That's a gift you've given her. I hope so. Sometimes I worry I'm holding us both back, keeping Sarah's memory so present. Maybe we need to move forward more completely. Claire turned to face him fully. Grief isn't something you move past, Marcus. It's something you learn to carry. And from what I can see, you're carrying it beautifully. Her words settled into a place in his heart that had been aching for 3 years. Permission to grieve and heal simultaneously, to honor the past while embracing the future. "Daddy! Claire! Come see my butterfly garden!" Emma called from across the yard. They spent the rest of the morning in Emma's garden, a small plot Marcus had helped her plant with flowers specifically chosen to attract butterflies. Claire listened with genuine interest as Emma explained the life cycle of monarchs and the importance of milkweed plants. When a painted lady landed on Emma's outstretched finger, Claire gasped with delight that matched his daughter's excitement. "It's magical," Claire whispered, watching the butterfly's delicate wings catch the sunlight. "Everything is magical if you look at it right," Emma replied, unconsciously echoing Claire's words from the night before. As the afternoon wore on, Marcus found himself reluctant to let the day end. There was something healing about watching Emma and Claire together, seeing his daughter blossom under the attention of someone who genuinely enjoyed her company. But more than that, there was something healing about allowing himself to feel attraction, affection, hope again. "I should probably go," Claire said eventually, though she seemed as reluctant as Marcus felt. "Let you two have your Saturday afternoon." "Do you have to?" Emma asked, voicing what Marcus was thinking. "I was going to read my new library book, and you said you liked stories." "What book?" Claire asked, immediately interested. "The one about the girl who talks to trees. The librarian said it was perfect for someone who loves nature. Ms. Rodriguez recommended that? She has excellent taste. It's one of my favorites." "Will you read it with me?" Emma asked with the kind of hopeful expression that was impossible to refuse. And so they found themselves back in the living room, Emma curled between Marcus and Claire on the couch, the new book open across their laps. Claire read with the skill of someone who understood that voices and pacing could bring stories to life, creating different tones for each character. Emma hung on every word, occasionally asking questions or making predictions about what would happen next. Marcus found himself watching Claire as much as following the story, mesmerized by her animated expressions and the way she naturally included Emma in the narrative experience. When the chapter ended, Emma was fighting to keep her eyes open, the excitement of the morning finally catching up with her. "Nap time, sweetheart," Marcus said gently. "But I want to know what happens next," Emma protested sleepily. "The book will be here when you wake up," Claire promised. "And maybe, if your daddy says it's okay, I could come back sometime and we could read more together." "Really?" Emma's eyes brightened despite her exhaustion. "If you want me to." "I want you to," Emma said firmly, then looked at Marcus. "Right, Daddy." "Right," Marcus said, meeting Claire's gaze over Emma's head. "We'd both like that very much." After Emma was settled for her nap, Marcus and Claire sat on the front porch, drinking coffee and talking in the low voices people use when children are sleeping nearby. The conversation ranged from books to travel dreams to childhood memories, each revelation adding another layer to their growing connection. "I should confess something," Claire said during a lull in the conversation. "I almost didn't come last night." "Why?" "Because when your sister told me you had a daughter, I panicked. I've never dated someone with kids before. I was afraid I'd say the wrong thing or make Emma uncomfortable." "And now?" "Now I think Emma might be the best wingman you could ask for. Claire laughed. "She's amazing, Marcus, and watching you with her. The way you listen to her, really listen, and take her thoughts seriously. It's beautiful. She's taught me more about life than any adult ever has. Kids see the world so clearly, without all the filters and fears we develop as we get older. She sees how much you love her. That's going to carry her through anything life throws at her." They talked until the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. When Claire finally left, with promises to attend Emma's soccer game and plans for dinner the following week, Marcus stood in his driveway watching her car disappear around the corner. "Is she gone?" Emma appeared at his side, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "For now, but she'll be back." "Good. I like her, Daddy. She feels like family." Marcus lifted Emma into his arms, holding her close as they watched the first stars appear in the darkening sky. "What do you mean?" "She fits," Emma said simply. "Like when you find the right piece for a puzzle, everything looks more complete." Looking up at the stars Sarah used to wish on, Marcus felt his wife's presence like a gentle breeze, carrying love and approval and the freedom to move forward. For the first time in 3 years, the future felt not just possible, but bright. That evening, as he tucked Emma into bed, she looked up at him with serious eyes. "Daddy, are you going to fall in love with Claire?" The question caught him off guard with its directness. "I don't know, sweetheart. Love is something that grows slowly, like your butterfly garden. It needs time and care and the right conditions. But you could love her, right? If she's nice to us and makes you smile and likes stories." "I could," Marcus admitted. "Would that be okay with you?" Emma considered this with the gravity of someone much older. "Mommy loved you, right?" "Very much." "And she loved me too?" "More than anything in the world." "Then she would want us to be happy. And Claire makes us happy." The simplicity of 6-year-old wisdom never ceased to amaze him. "Yes, sweetheart. I think Mommy would want us to be happy." "Then I think you should love Claire," Emma declared. "But maybe give her a little time to love us back. Sometimes grown-ups need longer to figure things out than kids do." As Marcus turned off the light and kissed Emma goodnight, he marveled at his daughter's emotional intelligence. Somehow, in her young mind, love wasn't a betrayal of memory but an extension of it. The capacity to love wasn't diminished by loss, but deepened by understanding how precious and fragile happiness could be. Walking past Sarah's books on his way to his own room, Marcus paused to touch the spine of her favorite novel. A love story about second chances and unexpected families. "Thank you," he whispered to the quiet house, to memories, to possibilities, to the strange and wonderful way life could surprise you when you least expected it. Outside, rain began to fall gently against the windows, the same kind of storm that had brought Claire into their lives just 24 hours earlier. But instead of feeling lonely as he usually did during nighttime storms, Marcus felt surrounded by warmth, by hope, by the promise that sometimes the best things come from the most unexpected places. In his pocket, his phone buzzed with a text from Claire. "Thank you for a perfect day. Emma is lucky to have such a wonderful father. Sleep well." Marcus smiled, typing back, "Thank you for seeing us both so clearly. Sweet dreams." As he drifted off to sleep, Marcus dreamed not of the past, but of butterfly gardens and tree houses, of quiet mornings and shared stories, of a love that honored what came before, while embracing what might be possible. And somewhere in the space between sleeping and waking, he could swear he heard Sarah's voice, carried on the wind and rain, whispering the words she'd said on their wedding day. "Find joy, my love. Always find joy." The following weeks unfolded like pages in a beloved book, each day adding new chapters to their growing story. Claire became a regular presence in their lives, attending Emma's soccer games with enthusiasm that rivaled the most devoted parents. She cheered from the sidelines as Emma scored her first goal of the season, and later helped celebrate with ice cream that dripped down Emma's chin and onto her team jersey. "Did you see that, Claire?" Emma asked, chocolate smudged across her face. "I remembered what Coach said about keeping my eye on the ball." "I saw everything," Claire replied, using napkins to clean Emma's face with the practiced efficiency of someone who understood 6-year-old messiness. "You were amazing out there. Your footwork has really improved." Marcus watched the interaction with a warmth that had become familiar over the past month. Claire's presence in their lives felt natural now, seamless in a way that surprised him. She remembered Emma's favorite bedtime stories, knew exactly how she liked her grilled cheese cut, and had somehow memorized the complex rules of the elaborate games Emma invented for her stuffed animals. More importantly, Claire seemed to genuinely enjoy these small rituals of childhood, approaching Emma's world with curiosity rather than obligation. One rainy Thursday evening, as they sat around Marcus's kitchen table working on a jigsaw puzzle depicting a garden full of butterflies, Emma looked up from sorting edge pieces with unusual seriousness. "Claire, do you want to have kids someday?" The question hung in the air like morning mist, delicate and loaded with implications. Marcus felt his breath catch, suddenly aware of how much he wanted to hear her answer. Claire's hands stilled on the puzzle pieces, and for a moment, the only sound was rain pattering against the windows. "I do," she said carefully. "I've always thought I would someday. Why do you ask?" "Because if you marry Daddy, you'd get me," Emma said with the matter-of-fact logic that never failed to astonish adults. "And I want to make sure you'd be happy about that part." Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. "Emma, honey, people don't just—" "It's okay," Claire said softly, reaching across the table to touch Emma's hand. "I would be more than happy about that part. Getting you would be like winning the lottery." Emma beamed, satisfied with this answer. "Good. Because Daddy's pretty great too, but I'm definitely the better deal." The conversation moved on to puzzle strategies and weekend plans. But Marcus caught Claire's eye across the table, seeing something deep and certain in her gaze that made his heart race. Later, after Emma had gone to bed and they sat on the couch, sharing a bottle of wine, Marcus found the courage to address his daughter's blunt question. "I'm sorry about earlier," he said. "Emma doesn't understand appropriate boundaries when it comes to adult relationships." "Don't apologize," Claire replied, curling her legs under her. "I love that she feels comfortable asking direct questions. It's refreshing, actually. Adults spend so much time dancing around the truth." "And what is the truth?" Marcus asked, setting down his wine glass and turning to face her fully. "For you, I mean. What do you want from this?" Claire was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing patterns on the throw pillow in her lap. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of careful consideration. "I want everything," she said. "The daily routines and the big milestones. I want to help Emma with homework and teach her to drive someday. I want to fall asleep next to you and wake up in the same house. I want the life we're already building, just officially." Marcus felt something fundamental shift in his chest, like tectonic plates settling into their permanent positions. "Are you sure? This comes with a lot of complications. Shared custody of a child you didn't sign up for, dealing with grief that still surfaces at unexpected moments, building something new while honoring what came before." "Marcus," Claire said, reaching for his hands, "I'm not asking for simple. I'm asking for real. And this, what we have, feels more real than anything I've ever experienced." Before he could respond, footsteps padded down the hallway. Emma appeared in the doorway, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant and looking sheepish. "I had a bad dream," she said quietly. "Can I sit with you guys for a minute?" "Of course, sweetheart," Marcus said, opening his arms. Emma climbed onto the couch between them, snuggling into Marcus's side while resting her feet across Claire's lap. "What was the dream about?" Claire asked gently, her hand coming to rest protectively on Emma's ankle. "The scary forest from my book," Emma mumbled against Marcus's shoulder. "But then I remembered that stories always end happy if you're brave enough to keep reading." Marcus exchanged a look with Claire over Emma's head. His daughter's wisdom never ceased to amaze him, the way she could distill complex emotions into simple truths that cut straight to the heart of things. "You're absolutely right," Claire said softly. "The best stories do end happily. But sometimes you have to be very brave in the middle parts." "Are we in the middle parts now?" Emma asked, looking between the two adults with sleepy eyes. "I think we might be transitioning to the good parts," Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. "The parts where people who love each other decide to be brave together. Can I stay here until the scary feelings go away?" "You can stay as long as you need," Claire said without hesitation. And so they remained on the couch, Emma drifting back to sleep while Marcus and Claire talked in whispers about practical things, like moving in together and meeting each other's families, and whether Claire would be comfortable taking on some parenting responsibilities. But beneath the practical discussions lay something deeper, a shared understanding that they were choosing each other not despite the complications, but because of them. Because real love wasn't about finding someone who fit perfectly into your existing life, but about building something new and beautiful with someone who was willing to grow alongside you. The next morning brought golden October sunlight and the kind of crisp air that made everything feel possible. Marcus woke to find Emma and Claire in the kitchen, working together to make pancakes that were actually round, their heads bent together over the griddle as Claire demonstrated proper batter-pouring technique. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Claire said, looking up with flour in her hair and joy in her eyes. "We made breakfast." "And they're not burned," Emma added proudly. "Claire knows the secret about medium heat." Marcus stood in the doorway for a moment, taking in the scene. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the two most important people in his world as they worked together on something as simple and profound as breakfast. This was what he wanted every morning for the rest of his life. This warmth, this laughter, this sense of home that went beyond any building he could design. "There's something I want to ask you both," he said, pulling out his phone. He scrolled to a photo he'd taken the day before, of a house for sale just 3 blocks away. It was older than their current place, with better bones and a yard big enough for an expanded butterfly garden. "What do you think about this?" Claire studied the photo over Emma's shoulder, her expression thoughtful. "It's beautiful," she said, "but why are you showing us?" "Because I think we need more space," Marcus said carefully. "Space for all of us, together. What do you think about looking at it this weekend?" Emma's squeal of excitement was answer enough, but Claire's reaction was more subtle, more profound. Tears gathered in her eyes as the full meaning of his suggestion settled in. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" she whispered. "I'm asking if you want to build a home with us," Marcus said simply. "All of us, together. Emma and me and you, and maybe someday more kids if that's something we both want. I'm asking if you're ready for forever." The kiss that followed was soft and sweet, tasting of maple syrup and new beginnings. Emma cheered and clapped, dancing around the kitchen in her pajamas while Marcus and Claire held each other close, surrounded by the scent of pancakes and the promise of countless mornings just like this one. 6 months later, they stood in the backyard of their new house, watching Emma chase butterflies through a garden 3 times the size of her old one. Claire's books had found homes alongside Sarah's on built-in shelves Marcus had designed specifically for their combined library. Family photos from both their pasts sat comfortably together on mantels and end tables, creating a visual narrative of love that honored memory while embracing change. "She's gotten so tall," Claire mused, watching Emma reach for a monarch butterfly that danced just beyond her fingertips. "And more confident. I love watching her grow." "You've been good for her," Marcus said, slipping his arm around Claire's waist. "Good for both of us, really. I never thought I'd feel this settled again." Claire leaned into his embrace, her engagement ring catching the afternoon light. The proposal had been simple, intimate, occurring on an ordinary Tuesday evening while they were reading bedtime stories to Emma. No grand gestures or elaborate plans, just Marcus looking up from a book about brave princesses and asking if she wanted to be part of their story forever. "I have something to tell you," Claire said, turning in his arms with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Something wonderful." Before she could continue, Emma came running over, breathless with excitement. "Claire, Marcus, you have to see this. There's a whole family of butterflies on the milkweed." They followed Emma to the far corner of the garden, where indeed a cluster of monarchs had gathered on the flowering plants. As they watched, more butterflies arrived, creating a living kaleidoscope of orange and black wings against the green foliage. "It's like they're celebrating something," Emma whispered in wonder. Claire looked at Marcus, her eyes bright with tears and joy. "Maybe they are," she said softly. "Maybe they know that families come in all different forms. And sometimes the most beautiful ones are the ones that choose each other." Marcus understood then, the way her hand rested protectively over her still flat stomach, the glow that he'd attributed to happiness but now recognized as something deeper. "How long have you known?" he asked quietly. 2 weeks. I wanted to be sure before I told you." Emma, oblivious to the adult conversation, continued to watch the butterflies with rapt attention. But something in the quality of their silence must have reached her, because she turned to look at them with curious eyes. "Are you guys okay?" "You look like you're about to cry, but good crying, not sad crying." "We're more than okay," Marcus said, lifting Emma into his arms so she could get a better view of the butterflies. "We're perfect, all of us." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, they remained in the garden, surrounded by butterflies and possibility. The future stretched before them, full of unknown challenges and certain joys, of bedtime stories and soccer games, and all the ordinary miracles that make up a life shared with people you love. Emma fell asleep in Marcus's arms, her head heavy against his shoulder, completely secure in a world where love multiplied rather than divided, where families grew through choice as much as chance. Claire walked beside them as they headed inside, her hand in Marcus's free one, carrying the secret of new life and the promise of even more love to share. In the house behind them, Sarah's books waited alongside Claire's, their pages full of stories about courage and hope, and the way love could transform even the most broken hearts. And in the garden, butterflies continued their ancient dance, oblivious to human joy, but somehow part of it, their beauty. A reminder that some of life's most precious gifts come when you're brave enough to open your wings and trust the wind to carry you home.